Just take one hit. Don't you want to be cool?
Gather round everyone. The show's about to begin.
Turn on, tune in, drop out, this show's amazing. It's Super Lemon Haze, you know them boys always blazing. Put one in the air, fill your glass and get to raising. Kirkman praising, school flag waving. Chopping up the topics instead of choking on some chronic. Scott and Eric breaking it down like 21st century prophets. Eyes glazed and minds dazed, it's knowledge they convey. Roll up and consume the Super Lemon Haze.
Super Lemon Haze.
Going to ask you several questions.
Super Lemon Haze.
How do you feel?
I feel like a slice of butter melting on top of a big old pile of flapjacks. Yeah.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Super Lemon Haze. How are we sounding?
Super Lemon Haze. Sounding
Haze,
good.
Motherfucker.
Feeling good. Cheers.
So this is to your son. This is first your birthday.
Happy
right?
birthday, little guy.
Little guy.
Yep. Thank you, sir.
Cheers. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I got the fancier shit today.
Managed to keep him alive for a whole year. Excited about it.
That's a big deal, because the first year is typically when all that shit happens, right?
I've got a good team. I'm very, very thankful. It's not on me only. So if it was only on me, there's no chance.
Where do you stand? So in terms of like a team, so would you consider her like she's like the Bill Belichick and you're the Tom Brady, or?
Oh God, no. The nanny's the Tom Brady.
Oh,
if anything.
I got
the
you.
nanny's the
So-
executor. The nanny's
she's
out
the
there
Bill
throwing
Belichick.
touchdowns.
The nanny's
Yeah,
Tom
the nanny
Brady.
throws the touchdowns.
And
She
you're
architects
like
the
a
plan.
Stowski with
I
the
mean,
pulled hammy.
I mean, maybe I'm like a Vinatieri. I come in and kick a field goal and save the day and have a good, get somebody to giggle and play a game or something out of that crowd. But yeah, no, I'm nowhere near the architect.
Gotcha.
Or the-
So we're going full
kind of-
steam, man. Like, unlike that fuckhead Menners, we fucking produce. We know our shit. We're experts in our field, and we have so much content that we're producing like 1.5 to 2 episodes a week.
A little bit ahead of things at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm jumping motherfucking fast.
It seems like there's been a lot of Mincel activity. There's you were hosting polls and shouting at people. We're fighting Menners. There's all kinds of things going on. I wanted to get some updates.
Well, I mean, the thing is that, and I don't want to spend any more time that I have to about that guy. But his shtick is like, canceling people. Like he holds a trophy on his mantle and he says that's his cunt trophy. Basically, he's the cunt. He prides himself on being like the number one cunt in the Minifan world because he has like 2 shows. He's got one with this other Australian friend, this guy Jamie, who actually I think is much more talented than he is. I find him to be, I don't know, he's like I said on one of my tweets, he's just better versed.
I voted for Jamie.
You voted for Jamie?
I voted for Jamie
Just
just
for you, man.
Because I know that fuck Menners.
Yeah, well, I'm going to release that poll, but I think we had about 30 people vote, and it was overwhelmingly in favor of Jamie.
Poll was well endorsed.
Yeah,
I saw that.
I mean, and actually, and unfortunately with the polls, it's kind of it's anonymous. You can't tell who's voting who. Otherwise, I would be able
I'd be happy to share my vote with the crowd.
Well, but the point is that like I think 65% of the people who voted. So think about that, man. So that's a lot of fucking people. And I don't give a shit. I'm not a part of this fucking cancel culture like he is. I find that just to be a pretty weak and insecure stance. Like just I'm gonna talk shit about all these other people who I think are boring and I'm gonna get them canceled. And then like after a while, I'm like, you know what, this guy. He doesn't really have any cards in his deck. He's got one. He's got a single thing, and it's just like his hate. At first, I think everyone in the community was like, "Oh, this is getting old," and I was just waiting. I was waiting patiently to see if that really was the only fucking card he has in his deck, and it really is. He's got nothing else going for him. He's not able to adapt to anything that's thrown in his direction because he's taping both of these shows on the same night, and he drops the same fucking content.
You would pick a couple of shows to axe.
The bad ones, you'd say, I don't really get the whole point of the conspiracy theories, like the QAnon one. Like I think they can get the show in a lot of trouble. I think Kirk knows that too. I don't really understand Super Lemon Haze. Not really sure what that's all about.
Either does Eric, the fuckhead.
Yeah, there are some shows on the channel that I don't watch, have never watched. I mean that.
So if you were to say pick 2 shows to axe, what would they be?
Probably the conspiracy show.
Okay,
I just don't understand that. I mean, it can get him in a lot of trouble if Steve doesn't edit it right, and he already has missed something on the first show. And I don't know. I don't really get the Super Lemon Haze podcast. I know you don't like it either. I just
From one, he taped it, and then the next an hour or two later, he's doing another show and he talks about the same shit. And I'm like, and I swear to God, and I'm watching it.
Does he change his outfit?
He changed his outfit. He and Jamie, because Jamie was a guest on the other show, they both changed their t-shirts. But this motherfucker went from one Red Sox jersey to another Red Sox jersey, which is also like, I'm thinking this dude is just trying way too fucking hard to just like appeal to the majority of the crowd who is Boston people.
Boston folks. Yeah.
I mean, I know that it's an international community.
I want to make sure I get this right first.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is probably a basic bitch question here, but so he has one crappy show that he puts on. And then hold on, let me walk through this for a second. He has some dumb shirt on with some dumb background. He has like the cow zoom background or something with the cows in the pasture background or something cool. And then he goes back 2 hours later and he puts another dumb shirt on, different outfit.
Yeah.
And then he puts on like the teacup party background on the Zoom party.
Yeah.
He changes his background up and then talks about the same shit the whole time.
Same shit. So
we have two sucky programs from Manners.
And it's funny because and this also came up on the Mike and the Minifan show. You know, again, Mike brought us up. Again, out of complete nowhere. And again, I stopped calling these shows. Exactly. But it's all so Menners and Jamie on their show, Mike and the Minifans, they brought up the same fucking shit, which is this has been the constant theme.
Problem with this show now in general is there's the Lady Minifans, there's fucking Nickels worth of free advice, there's the Mincel Intel, there's the Intern show, and there's the OG Minifan show, and there's the Australian Minifan show.
And there's some more in the works.
The premise of all of those shows are what happened the last week in the Kirk Minahan show world.
A lot of overlap. I know at one point wasn't the idea for the YouTube kind of to also involve some shows that weren't necessarily about the Kirk Minahan
and that's what
show.
All of the shows on the YouTube channel, minus one or two of them, are reviews of the past week of Kirk Minahan content. So everyone's just doing reviews after reviews after reviews, and it's this fucking ongoing joke that like, oh, this guy's new, this guy, and so and they're all like on the same page about that. And then all of a sudden, and they're like, but if we say let's not do a show about the show, then we get things like, and they always name Super Lemon Haze.
The problem you get into there is then you get Super Lemon Haze, which I have no fucking idea why he's on YouTube. I think Kirk just thought it would be funny because there was an argument about it. But there's no, other than the fact that that guy's a fan of the show, it doesn't make it.
Menners' biggest criticism about our show, and he includes us into the sort of pot with others, is that if God forbid someone from outside the Miniverse shows up on our YouTube channel and sees Super Lemon Haze, they're going to be completely turned off and they're not going to know what this world's about. But then I'm like,
God,
then I'm like,
heaven forbid.
Yeah, exactly. But then I'm like, that's like for smart, intelligent, devoted people like us, who I also believe is the majority of the audience who's listening to Kirk, because Kirk's a sophisticated dude. And he's super smart, super intelligent. I think you have to be at a certain level to kind of catch on and listen to his, his shtick. Like he's got a sort of smart level of comedy or humor. So I feel like people just jumping on the YouTube completely randomly and seeing us, that shit would fly. Kirk's stance has always been, who gives a fuck? If one person likes it, if 5 people like it, if fucking 1,000 people like it, who gives a fuck? Like, so the bottom line is that like, that motherfucker continues to sort of run his mouth. He's a cunt. He thinks he's got any like creativeness to him. I mean, I guess, and the funny thing is that like, oh, have the mighty have fallen, because this motherfucker about a month ago was like the height of the Minifan community. Like he was like at the top. And I swear every week that guy motherfucker like opens his mouth and does a show, he just tumbles and tumbles.
The things I've said about the Minilady show, like, can you show us more of your rack? Can you put makeup on? I mean, you must have a really bad impression of Aussie men.
Very similar.
Have you thought, like, has the cast talked about, your appearance on the Minilady show? Have you sort of taken any of my notes on board?
Well, I have to say, I don't usually wear makeup on a regular basis to begin with.
So something you could look at doing. Have any of the other cast members reached out to you for guidance on working on their appearance for that show, or?
Well, so that motherfucker should have just like stopped while he was ahead, because the more shit that guy puts out there, the dumber he fucking looks, the dumber he fucking sounds, and the less his stock just fucking drops. Like Menners is fucking intercom right now. He's a fucking, in my mind,
It's plummeting.
yeah, he's fucking plummeting. He's like Menners in another like 2 or 3 weeks, if he keeps doing the same shit, if he can't fucking pivot and do something completely original or new, that guy's gonna be a fucking penny stock. Eddie. You and I we're doing our fucking thing because we're passionate, we're smart, and we're doing it right. Slowly, we're building an audience, and every week we're getting more DM, constantly getting comments, very positive comments, great feedback. And I just feel like we're just getting better and better every single week. So we're doing, we're gonna ride out this fucking coronavirus web, this wave, and we're gonna fucking take it, and we're gonna fucking build, and we're gonna when this fucking shit's said and done, when everyone's back to work, back to business, man, we're gonna be fucking killing it. Like when we're on episode like 20, because I know this is gonna go on for another fucking like month or two, but I guarantee you we're gonna be in a fucking rhythm. We're gonna have fucking phenomenal guests. We're gonna have phenomenal conversations like we have and always will. And everyone is just going to be fucking saying, wow, I wish we could do that. I wish we could be like that. Because that's my goal. My goal is to fucking just do it, produce, be original, never fucking jump on these same fucking topics that everyone's doing over and over again. I want to entertain the KMS community, but I also want to, stay in touch with the cannabis community, which we're going to get into today. But like, that's our goal, man. I just want to fucking like ride this thing, and that's it.
No, it's good. I mean, I feel confident in just hearing you saying that and reciprocate 100% just because of how many things we have lined up. I mean, we have so many different show ideas and so many different things already in the works and already all set up for the future. I mean, we're already a couple of shows ahead just on the schedule as is. And I mean, I think just the notes section alone that we have with proposed guests, ideas, topics. I mean, I'd say we're another 5-6 shows already just deep, ready to go.
Yeah. And the amazing thing is that, like, we're not even talking about some of the, outside visits that we wanted to, we wanted to go to different farms. We wanted to go to, just we wanted to bring the equipment.
We haven't done any field trips except your quick little trip down the street because of this goddamn coronavirus nonsense. But
all right. So, I was interested in talking today a little bit more about a lot of the current events that are going on in the cannabis community.
You've been busy on Twitter.
I know. Well, it's a really interesting time, and
you're DMing with Shalene and retweeting some interesting folks and getting all in there. I like it.
Shout out to Shalene.
Yeah.
We would love to have you on anytime. Anytime. I'm gonna always send you the link. I actually DM'd you today. I'm going to send you the link. At any point you want to just jump in on our conversation, just jump in. I'll add you to the.
We'll get you right in.
But the bottom line is that, we're obviously talking specifically about Massachusetts because we're not sure. I mean, we could speak specifically on some of the federal stuff that's going on that maybe that's impacting us. But, state by state, everyone's dealing with their own sort of medical marijuana community or cannabis community differently. And, I would say the biggest drama, I don't say drama, but I would say the biggest problem that's happening right now in the state of Massachusetts is the governor shutting down all of the businesses, but only leaving open the essential businesses. And I think I brought up in one of the other early podcasts that, in that group of essential places that can stay open, businesses, is like all the package stores. So your liquor, your wine, your beer. But what they have closed and what the governor and his team has decided is not essential are the recreational cannabis stores. I always say dispensaries. Recreational dispensary. I'm gonna keep.
You got it. You got it. You're old school.
I'm old school. And so some of the headlines that were coming out to this week were all about that. So I would say the first one that was very exciting was that there's a group of growers and I think some consumers who are suing the state and the governor.
And I think that's what spurred most of the headlines and what's come on this week with some of the newer news and articles that are being posted, editorials and articles that are getting posted.
I would say of the mainstream stuff, there's also some sort of back end stuff that's happening within the cannabis community. And that was sort of also what I started to do this week was I just started to get really heavily into and involved in the content that the Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission has been, putting out there. And if for those who don't know, who don't live in Massachusetts, or for those in Massachusetts who don't know much, that there's basically a group of staff members, and maybe I think it's 4 or 5.
There's a handful of them. Yep.
Yeah, who run this Cannabis Control Commission, and they're pretty much the people that are creating the policy for legalizing and keeping the cannabis community in business here, and also people like us who are medical card owners, consumers in general, going to these stores and being able to do it in a legal way. So so that commission is like the commission that's really setting the tone and the policy. And I connected with one of them online, which is typical Eric fashion. I do my thing and I get involved and I go all in, and I'm really just trying to get I'm super excited about this whole process, having just received my medical card and sort of now really getting into my second month of using cannabis as a part of my treatment for some of my stuff.
And now you've stepped in shit right into some of the hot button topics.
Yeah, and now
medical marijuana and recreational marijuana in Massachusetts.
Totally. So again, just kind of bringing to light some of the highlights. So the first one was that there's a lawsuit going on, and the lawsuit is primarily working on trying to open up these recreational dispensaries.
Yeah.
The other thing was the governor was shutting down all businesses unless they were deemed essential. So because the medical marijuana community was still opened and considered essential, they were running really low on inventory and stock. So to sort of fill the inventory or that gap, because people were still coming to the stores and trying to buy the products, but as the inventory started to go down, so the Cannabis Control Commission went to the governor, and through this whole cease and desist. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't want to get into the legalese of it. The commission was like, hey, no, you need to fucking let these guys do their thing, because we're running low. There's a huge population of people who carry medical card because they actually use it as a part of their medicinal treatments.
Yeah.
And
having
so
the medical card will give you some access, to some stronger products and more product. You can carry more, have more, buy more as a medical user. And you can usually find some stronger strains, or more, a lot of times the dispensaries will hold some of their more interesting strains or CBD strains for medical only type stuff. But other than that, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
there's
but
not a big difference.
The point is, though, just imagine if CVS, so everyone's getting heart medications, blood pressure medications, cholesterol medications, diabetes medications. Imagine if all of a sudden that supply started to dwindle, and people would go to CVS and be like, dude, where's my medicine? Where's my medication? And they're like, sorry, man, the government shut down X pharmaceutical companies, so we're no longer getting that.
Yeah, it was.
It
was a big win. I guess it was a step towards some wins and an easement, so to speak. But I still think that probably sucks for a lot of those rec dealers, because they're probably now having to sell at wholesale. Yeah. Which wholesale in this state now is such a lower number. Well, they were selling at a more retail price until that gets ended.
Yeah, but actually, I don't know. But I wonder if it's the opposite. The whole thing about the whole oil and gas prices, the reason why those things are fucking plummeting, because no one's using their cars, no one's buying oil, no one's buying gas. But if you're talking about now a person who is a professional grower and has some inventory or supply, even though they might be selling it at a discounted rate, they might be selling a lot more of it.
Yeah, either way, it's a win. It's a win. A couple of other things to stats and numbers and things and ideas to think about. Medical cards tripled in issuance in the month of March or something like that.
So I tweeted that out too. Again, also a part of this sort of cease and desist in this lawsuit and stuff. Everyone has been reporting some of the facts and details, and it's 150+% more. Yeah,
way up. And obviously making it it's never been telehealth style,
right? And that was the other huge
Skype style like you did. So
exactly, and that was the other huge change, is that you no longer had to visit a physician to get this medical card. They're certifying professionals to be able to do this via telemedicine. So that was the hot stuff that was happening in the cannabis community.
So the other thing I just thought was interesting was, so Baker, his answer or his justification to it all was that he didn't want other people coming from out of state. So you saw, I tweeted at you. I'm at the Cannabis Doc 1 on Twitter now. You can follow me on there. But I tweeted on you. That seems like, or responded to you. It seems like that's kind of a pretty simple fix. I mean, why do we need to ban because we're worried about out-of-staters or potentially, big lines and social distancing? I mean, all the medical places have moved to social distancing, appointment only. I feel like that's an easy pivot for a rec facility to do.
100,000%. And I'm sure they're already supplying programs and probably working also together with the medical community. Yeah. But so I agree that, I mean, that's the easy excuse. And
right.
I think he's
easy
using
excuse,
that.
but you're losing millions of dollars.
No,
so
I know.
It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I see that. And,
well, the other piece that I just thought was extremely interesting about all this too is, and it's a small population. So granted, it's just a smaller crew, but the other big piece of information that not a lot of folks are thinking about is veterans. If you're a veteran and you receive benefits or any type of support from the Federal Bureau of Veterans Affairs or the VA, they are a federally recognized organization and arm. So they're not going to. The federal government doesn't recognize marijuana as medicinal or legal.
Right. So those vets who are primarily getting
they could go to a rec place under the radar, no big deal, get what they need. If they've come home with PTSD or something like that, something calms their nerves, even if their fucking knee hurts. I mean, anything they can't go, they're not that probably. I mean, again, I think there's some legislation and some things bubbling up now that are going to prevent this, but I think there's a pretty big stigma in that community that they're not going to go get diagnosed for this because it would jeopardize their benefits potentially, or it could at least give them a hassle about how to justify that. It's not worth it to them. It sucks that again, what we were just talking about, everybody will hear in the episode, our newest episode that's released from last week, by the time you're hearing this, you can pick and choose how you get your treatment, and you can really kind of diagnose yourself and kind of, you have variety on what works. If you take that away, like your father-in-law, like we've had this conversation, it's just catch can, whatever, you just take whatever you can get. That's tough.
That's a really interesting point. I feel like most people who aren't involved in this community can really make that distinction, because I think most people who have never looked into or have stepped foot into a medical marijuana dispensary, I'm getting it.
There you go. You're speaking the lingo.
They probably just think you're just buying weed. You know what I mean? Like you're just going to the store and just fucking buying weed. Like they don't really understand.
They might not be actually thinking that you're going in there buying like a product that really fucking works for you.
Or what you're saying is it's because they're breaking it down to like, it's almost like to the genome. You know what I mean? Like they're breaking it down to the
terpenes, and the strains,
the strains and the terpenes and the percentage of THC versus CBD. I mean, that's the fucking shit that I caught on to. That's why this became so attractive to me, because like if it was just literally you just fucking go into a store waiting in these huge lines with all these fucking potheads, deadheads, potheads, fucking smelling like shit or whatever, like that's like the stigma. If I have to go fucking waiting in line with these people and then you just go inside and all of a sudden it's just like a fucking shit show with like bongs and like Bob Marley posters, like if that was like the setup, never would work. For me, it would never work. So the Boston Globe has a marijuana section of their
they do
whatever. So it's called Boston Globe Marijuana. If you want to follow them on Twitter, whatever. If you want to fucking pay a goddamn penny, it's probably not worth the penny that you have to pay to get into their services. But
after like 6 days, I think we can see the stuff. So stuff pops up. You can read some of their things after. Older articles pop up.
So there's an article with the headline that says Attorney General Maura Healey and Massachusetts General Hospital are warning that smoking and vaping may increase the risk of severe illness from COVID-19. So I think that this is the reason. This is his primary motivation of why he's not releasing the accessibility to the dispensaries, the recreational dispensaries, because I think he's trying to associate the vaping and the behavior of smoking to increased illness, which is not fucking the case.
And he was all over vaping at the end of 2019.
Yeah, vaping was the fucking thing. So Charlene, I should say commissioner title. We should just say commissioner title from now on, because you are a commissioner. Your last name's Title. Commissioner Title said these advisories would be much more credible and therefore more effective if they didn't lump all smoking and vaping of all substances into one category, as if it's all the same thing. See, that's the fucking thing. That's the real fucking thing that's going on right now.
Just throwing a blanket.
Putting the fucking and I think that's where the Cannabis Commission, the Control Commission, comes in, because I think their job truly is to be a huge advocate for the consumers, us, as well as for the business people who are because they're basically certifying everybody. They're certifying the people to consume it, and they're also certifying the businesses to grow it.
And that's the thing. If you trust, and that's my whole problem with this, is if you set this commission up, then you trust them to regulate us and the businesses.
Right.
So the businesses aren't going to fuck around with bootleg vapes.
Right.
They're not going to let people just run around from other states
Right.
and bring in COVID-19 and people that are symptomatic. And they're not going to not have social distancing laws or rules, just
Right.
like any other freaking legit business
Exactly.
that wants to
And
stay alive and stay essential.
Right. And the constant theme, because I now I'm reading into and following a lot of these different channels for cannabis commissions and for advocacy agencies, and their primary message during this COVID-19 time is prohibition doesn't work. Prohibition is doing detrimental things to the public health of our community, which is what our government and state government is arguing against. What motivation does Governor Baker and his staff have in terms of taxes? Like, because they're getting fucking billions of dollars from the federal government, so they're not hurting for money right now. And I hate to say that, because I know that obviously we're going through a crisis, but money is money, and right now they're not thinking about the recreational cannabis dispensary community as a viable source, because I'm sure it's a fraction. If you're talking like $150 million, what the fuck is that compared to like $800 billion that we might be getting from the federal government? You know what I'm saying? So it's just fucking chump change. So we don't have that on our side as an argument, and that's why I would love to ask Charlene these fucking questions, and I can't wait to have her on, because I think this is the shit that I'm fucking into right now. This is the stuff that I want to know, like because this is so new in our country. This sort of legalization, and business and small business, and bringing a voice to the community when it comes to the sort of the cannabis stuff, the medicinal piece. Like, this is like uncharted territory, and I don't know, man. I'm like eating this shit up, man. It's neat. I wonder if this lawsuit's gonna have any legs. I feel like the lawsuit is gonna set this up, right? Because
it'll be 3 years from now before anybody fucking knows.
But again, I don't know. I mean, I don't know the speed at which this stuff. I mean, obviously, again, we're in a fucking crisis, so the courts aren't even fucking open.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, you
can't, nothing's happening.
Like, it's fucking home.
By the way, shout out to you for the palm battery. Nice work. Good recommendation by you.
Shout out to Sierra Naturals,
to the weed doctor. You recommend
Sierra Naturals, who will eventually be a sponsor of this podcast, because we love them. We love you, Sierra Naturals. They have amazing selection. They've got a incredible inventory, and the customer service is fucking superb. All right, so we have a special guest actually that's going to be coming on right now. My brother.
Oh my goodness.
My brother.
And we're going to get some vid out of Larry now
from
too.
The same mother. Larry, I'm going to bring you in. Here we go.
What's up?
Yes.
What's up, dude?
I didn't realize I had to
actually seeing Larry on.
Yeah, I didn't know if I had. I gotta watch it. I didn't realize I had to wear a V-neck to get into this video chat.
You have your uniform.
This is my uniform, so you're never going to see me on this channel not wearing my KMS hat.
Gotta have his dorky hat.
Do you have like
my fucking
his
KMS hat
and his undershirt on?
Do you have an
undershirt?
Is that your home uniform? Do you have like a away uniform? Like maybe if you're recording somewhere else, do you have like a black V-neck when you wear it? Or, all I'll say is I've never really listened to your show, and I'm just jumping in from the West Coast, so I hope
that's okay. Nobody does, Larry. You're good. All good.
I figured.
There's only two people that listen. Me. I think Duke logs in.
My wife listens.
Oh yeah,
there's no way
to do a couple
listens.
episodes.
There's no way she listens. She tells you she listens, but this is her time to not listen.
Probably fair. Yeah.
No, she's asked me. No, that's
no. She's asked us some.
She's asked us some specific questions, which makes you believe that maybe she's just
maybe listened to like 30 minutes worth out of like 8 hours.
Yeah, so if we produce about 8 hours,
it's like 10 hours of content.
She turns it on
like 30 minutes.
She turns it on for 10 minutes, and there's something that happens, and she's like, he asked a question. Okay. Right. Oh, I love that part that you.
I'll just to give a little bit of backstory to my brother. He's a Hollywood producer. He makes feature films and also television shows.
I love how he starts.
My
brother say he's a producer.
My brother's been nominated for a number of Emmys and yet to win an Oscar, but maybe that'll happen at some point.
And on the first podcast we had with Larry, there were children screaming in the background and it seems that there may be children.
Oh yeah,
screaming in the
there's. I
background
mean,
of
I
that.
have 3 kids,
And you are in danger of being attacked at any moment.
And at this point, they've all been home for a month, so
It's only worse. It's only worse since the
it
coronavirus
does
conversation we had with you the first time.
does not
Yep.
get better. But you still have to. It's interesting when you go into the one in California. My and I only know this because my wife goes often, and when you go in, you have to.
When you go into, you mean specifically to the dispensaries or to
dispensaries, where you go to a bar and they just like, you got the bouncer, he looks at your thing, all right, go in. Like here, they actually take it, they swipe your ID, they keep track that you've been in the store, so it is regulated to some degree. Like, funny enough, like myself, who is not a smoker or does not use cannabis, I recently went in with my wife because we were like on our date night, our Saturday night date night. Of course, she wanted to stop there on the way, so I walked in with her. Never went to this place, and then they carded her. I'm like, oh, cool, and they carded me, and I see that they're about to swipe it. I'm like, whoa, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, we swipe everybody. I'm like, I'm good. And they're like, well, it doesn't do anything. It just keeps record of who's been here. I'm like, no, good. So
nope. Not gonna do it.
You know what?
Not doing that.
So what's that mean? So I mean, you're in the entertainment community. There's probably no, if you're not, if we're talking like musicians, they probably use the most drugs. The second class right underneath them is going to be the other creative people or the people that make fucking movies. Like so you were feeling like you didn't want anyone knowing that you were in a dispensary because it could potentially do what? Hurt your reputation?
No, I just didn't want to be classified as someone who shopped in a dispensary.
So Lawrence, what's the 2-minute recap on what's happening over there? Like, what's the just give us like a 2-minute recap, and then we're gonna hang up.
I feel like our state's ahead of the game. We're one of the first states to shut everything down, and I think our governor or senators did the right thing. I think the state still doesn't have, obviously we still get more cases every day as people are getting tested, but I feel like overall it seems like the curve is flattened a little bit, which is positive. Kids are still out of school, officially through May 1st. It looks like it's probably going to go through the end of the year.
Did you see that Philadelphia or Pennsylvania, they're done for the year?
No, but I did see somewhere that in Washington D.C. are the next hotspot.
Yeah,
it's interesting. Yeah, some of ours on the East Coast are actually a little bit further out than that. May 4th.
Yeah, it's gonna happen here.
It's all gonna be here too.
If Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, then it's gonna be New York.
Oh yeah,
and so
it's
gonna come up.
Yeah, I mean, I think the interesting thing will be like how they finish the school year.
That's you have the hardest job right now. If you ask me, it's all the people that have like kids that are like your kids' age. Like I'm not in that real boat. So like I'm not feeling the same kind of
totally. I mean, it's like trying to keep them on some kind of schedule. I mean, I'm like, I'm still working.
It's a lot of work.
I'm working
right.
I'm working 8:30 in the morning to 6 o'clock at night, and I can hear.
Right.
I literally see
I can hear the chaos.
You see this amazing headset?
It's like the end of the day.
Yeah, that's a sharp looking headset you got there.
I'll tell you why I have it, because I was on a number of meetings, and people in the meetings were like, I think you need a headset, and like this at least tunes everybody else out for the most part, and does. I mean, compared to what it was before, where I just had like the buds, like it doesn't pick up as much stuff other than myself.
You're getting it done with that headset. That's a solid headset.
Yeah.
So Lawrence, I'm gonna start implementing a segment at the end or around the end of each episode, and it's gonna be called, and the segment's called "How High."
You want to get high, man?
If I study high, take the test high, get high scores.
Are we in the right place?
Just be cool, and you might have some fun.
See, I'm looking for the ecstasy, for the pot, for those shrooms.
How high?
Okay.
So I'm gonna.
This is new to me too, Larry.
So I'm gonna ask you the question, "How high?" And that's gonna be your trigger to be like, "All right, what is the highest you've ever gotten?" I know you may have told this story, but I wouldn't mind you repeating it if that was it. But that's the fucking segment. It's gonna be called "How High." What's the fucking highest you've ever gotten, motherfucker?
I'm totally not gonna play this game.
You gotta fucking play this game. No, man, that's the whole point. All right, then put Jessica on.
I mean, Jessica.
Then Jessica can go on. You can pass the torch, but only once. So the next time you better be fucking prepared.
Oh, he froze.
What's up?
All right, you on? So we have a segment of our podcast. This is Scott, by the way. Say hi, Scott.
Hi, Jessica.
Hi.
We've got this segment of the podcast that we're starting, and we're gonna do it on every single episode. It's gonna be called "How High."
You want to get high, man?
If I study high, take the test high, get high scores.
Are we in the right place?
Just be cool, and you might have some fun.
See, I'm looking for the ecstasy, for the pot, for those shrooms.
How high?
All right. And when I go, how high, your response is, what is the highest you've ever gotten? And just dress up that episode. Like, what was that about?
I have lots of stories, Eric. I
What's
feel
the
like
best? Just give us number one.
there's
You have
too
to have a
many
number
kids.
one.
I got lost in Key West and I couldn't figure out where in the island I was. Like
Nice.
literally kept
How old were you?
18, 19 maybe. Like young.
Right?
Yeah, it was like one of those. It was Mardi Gras. It was probably acid or like shrooms. Probably.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, our kids are like literally right around the corner. But yeah,
I appreciate.
I
appreciate giving us the abbreviated version, though. But
yeah. I mean, how about Larry? Larry can't answer that question.
Larry's afraid to. Larry's afraid to
He
swipe.
doesn't even want to swipe his card.
He's
at the
afraid to fucking
dispensary.
swipe his card at the dispensary.
He's
not telling any
so
stories
dumb.
on this
He's so
podcast.
Jessica, you can come on our show.
Yeah,
anytime.
you're absolutely coming.
Oh,
You're more.
Yeah.
I should be like, Jessica, come on our show, and then Larry can just like peek in at the end. But
oh, I mean, I know my stuff. You have no idea. Like Larry,
I know you know. Your
Larry
stuff.
got really mad at me because the one outing that I had, I was going to the grocery store and there was like a crazy line, and I was like, "Ooh, but there's no line in the dispensary." And
the dispensary is right near the supermarket.
I bought a bong, like a crazy big, like so it's. Yeah, I've been using it. I mean, no, it's outside, and it's like a science project.
That's the whole show. This is the whole show. This
so
is the whole
if
show.
you wouldn't do me,
This
if
is
you would do me a
awesome.
favor, when you hit it next, have Larry or someone just take a video of it. You don't have to be in the video. You know, can you just be like the side of your head or your hair, just so we know it's you. But just like send me the video and I'll post it.
Okay.
I'll post it in this episode. So you have a week to get it to me. All right, we love you. We're gonna hang out.
I can't wait to interview you.
We're gonna
more.
hang
I
out,
can't
but
wait.
we'll talk offline and we'll make something
We're
happen.
gonna talk all kinds of great weed talk. It's gonna be
and
awesome.
do it when the kids aren't around, so we can
all day. Okay.
All right, peace.
Bye.
Later.
Awesome.
Do you like that segment idea?
That was great.
How high?
Well, that's
How high?
it's kind of cheesy, but we'll figure it out.
Fuck, I know it's cheesy. Well, you know, because I don't know, I'm ripping this off a little bit from the Minstrel
You're still
Intel
growing.
guys.
Well, you're young in your weed life, so that's you're kind of like
No,
a
but
14-year-old like getting you're
That's-
in that
so
phase.
that's
You're in the honeymoon
100
phase,
I agree with you 100%. That's my
which I admire. I don't
Right.
mean that in a disrespectful way.
Right.
So we'll play the How High game with you. Yeah,
Just for a
it's
little
fun.
while.
Yeah,
Entertain
it'll be
me.
fun. I mean, listen, if we can get more of her on and talk like that, that's gonna be awesome.
All right.
That was great.
All right, guys. That was an interesting episode. I had a great time. I hope you guys did too. Peace. Stay well. Stay healthy.
What is this?
Is it over?
We're running out of time.
I don't want to hear your excuses.
No, it's not fair.
Where'd all the finals go?